Gonna try, gonna try, gonna try. Work till I die, till I die, till I die. I'm gonna fail and get up, 'cause I'm not giving up on my dream.
Hi my lovely Frosty fam, it's me, Karen Frost, here at Nail Decadence, and in this video I'm going to be doing an acrylic set for you guys. It's a really easy salon viable set, so it's not too long and the design isn't too complicated, so can be done in the salon when you guys are able to return to your salons, that is, hopefully soon. The lockdowns have hit everyone really hard, so yeah, fingers crossed the beauty industry can open back up again really soon. So until then, just thought I'd get some designs out to keep you guys occupied, give you something to watch, and maybe ideas for designs for your clients when you manage to get back into the salons, like I said. Anyway, I'm using my Handolly. Now this is the very first Handolly that I purchased, so it has this stick-on nail beds. They're not made like this anymore now, they have the sliding tips, so just bear that in mind. This Handolly will look different to the ones that are being sold now. I also have a discount code. It is an affiliate code, so bear that in mind, but you are most welcome to use it. It will give you a discount, and it is KF Gift, like you saw on screen. Like I said, if you don't want to use it, you don't have to, but it will give you 10% off your order, and I use Handolly all the time. If you are new to my channel, if you look back in my back catalogue, you'll see I use Dolly a lot. So it's not a product that I don't use. It's something that I use all the time and I love to use, and it's up to my nail game for sure, having extra hands, as it were, to practice on, because I don't take clients anymore. I haven't done for quite some time. My body just can't function the way it used to, so yeah, I practice on Handolly to keep my skills up. Have the odd family member here and there, but mostly I do my videos on Handolly, so I'm just trying to give back into the industry that helped me, which was YouTube, and YouTube helped me, so I'm trying to give back. Therefore, I make videos for you guys. Anyway, I'm going to show you how I apply my tips on Handolly. So, as you saw, I sized up the tips first of all, and then I glue them on. Now, because this is not the sliding tips, these are the stuck-on nail beds, I put on nail guards so that I can remove the set afterwards and then put on new nail guards and start again, rather than having to soak off that nail bed, because that's just a pain in the butt. Now, sometimes when you use the nail guards, which is like a plastic film, sticky film that you put over the nail bed, that enables you to peel the set off afterwards, sometimes the glue doesn't want to stick. As you can see in this video, I was having an absolute nightmare. The glue just didn't want to stick to the nail guard, and it was driving me absolutely nuts. You see, I'm trying to get it to stay on and it just won't stay on. So a little trick you can do when you've run into this kind of problem is just use a bit of base coat. You know, just a base, any old gel base coat. Put that on and then cure the nail tip in place. There's nothing wrong with doing that. So I'm just using my little torch rather than putting the whole hand in the lamp. I'm just going to use my little torch to just freeze those tips in place, and then afterwards, once I've got all them on, I will cure the whole hand for 60 seconds. But because you can instantly cure that UV gel with your little torch, it's a UV torch obviously, well, it's an LED UV torch, because you can cure the tips immediately in place. It's just a little bit easier than waiting for the glue to dry, especially if it's not drying in place. So once I've got them all the way I want them, then I'll give it a full cure under the LED Sun UV lamp, and then I will just use a bit of rubbing alcohol to remove any of the tacky layer from the base gel, because I don't want that to stay on, because all of the nail dust would get stuck into it and we don't want that. So remove the tacky layer, and now I can shape my tips. So all I'm doing is bringing those side walls in just a little bit to make sure that the nails are coming straight out of the side walls. A couple of them were a little bit bigger and I didn't file them down beforehand, so I'm just shaping them and filing them down now so that they fit that nail bed perfectly. See, I just bring in those side walls just like that, straighten the sides just a little bit, and then I will use my e-file and a sanding band to just blend those tips in. I very rarely not blend my tips in. Or pretty much 90% of the time I will blend my tips. I just think it makes for a better set of nails. I just think taking that extra step does make a difference to your application, but that's my opinion. You don't have to if you don't want to, especially if they're not going to be clear and you can't see underneath the acrylic, then yeah, it's not such a big deal then. So I have applied a thin clear base already in preparation. I didn't do that on camera because I'd spent so long putting the tips on and showing you that. I didn't bother showing you the clear layer because everyone knows how to do that. Just a very thin layer of clear to protect the nail plate and enable you to be able to file back should you need to do a redesign. Also it gives a little bit of strength, you know, a bit of extra strength, because clear is the strongest and it also has the best adhesion properties. So if you're putting your thin clear base down, you know you're not going to have the issue of the nails lifting as much or as possibly as much as they would with a coloured acrylic, because it has no pigment in it, so it has the, like I said, the best adhesion properties. So anyway, I am creating a reverse French, so I'm creating my extended nail bed using this really nice pale gentle pink. I decided to use it in this video. It's a peachy pink, but it's not too peachy, if that makes sense. Anyway, so I will create my nail bed with that colour, as you see, using my brush to shape that nail bed as best as I can get it, and then I will leave that to set up and move on to the little finger. Now on the little finger I am using I'm going to do a full nail of this really pastel peachy orange. It's just a beautiful colour. Using, obviously you've seen the thumbnail, so you know I'm using all shades of orange in this set, but they're quite pastel-y. Even the darkest one, the more corally colour, is still quite a pastel colour. It's not that dark, but anyway, so I'm using the acrylic colours just for that. I'm just putting a base of colour down because I will be capping these nails. I tend not to build my nails in the cover powders or the coloured powders because you can cap them in clear, add your strength and structure with your clear powder, and therefore you're not using loads of your colour, and your coloured powders last a bit longer that way. And also I just like the glass effect of the clear acrylic over the top. I just yeah, it's how I do it. But if you're that way inclined, you can build your, as long as they're strength powders of course, you can build your nails with the coloured. But I'm also adding some of these flaky things. I don't know what these are. They're a type of glitter, but they're not glitter, and it's just, I don't know what to call them, but I'm using these in this set, so obviously we'll need to cap it to protect them so I don't file them away. So I use just a little bit of clear to apply them down the side of the nail, let that set up and move on to the ring finger. And as you can see, I'm using a slightly darker shade of the orange colour. And again, it's not too dark, it's just a nice shade of orange, isn't it, really? So it's, yeah, they're still sort of bordering the pastel shades, you know. Anyway, I like it. Again, full nail of this orange. So blended those first two beads in, and then I'm putting my cuticle bead at the cuticle area, of course, and making sure that is nice and neat, and blending the rest of the bead into the rest of the product so that I've got a nice even coverage. Again, this is just really thin for the colour only, because I will, like I said, cap in clear acrylic. So then I will let that set up and move on to the index finger, and as you can see, I'm using a slightly darker but more pinky kind of coral orange on this finger. I think this colour is beautiful. I really like this colour. I think this colour screams summer. I might have to do a set with just all this colour because it's gorgeous. It's that kind of pastel coral, just lusciousness. So again, full nail of this colour. It's just so pretty. It deserved its own nail. Again, making sure that that cuticle area is nice and neat, just tapping that bead, getting that cuticle area nice and neat, and if there are any bits that have gone over where I don't want them, just a little swipe with the brush, not soaking the finger in monomer. Please don't do that. Monomer is not made for skin, but just use the very tip of your brush to just edge that acrylic back where it needs to be if it's managed to get away from you just a little bit. And on top of that coral, I'm adding some of these mylar flakes, and the way they hit the light and shine, the reflect of green and yellow and just beautiful lusciousness is gorgeous. I love the effect of these mylar flakes. They are so beautiful. The way, oh, it's just lovely. So I'm adding a load of those mylar flakes. I'm using clear acrylic to attach those because we want them to stay in place when I cap. So if I use clear acrylic and I'm layering them, I don't know if you can see that, but I am layering them. So it's not just one layer of them. I'm putting some over the top of the other because it really does give that depth of colour and reflect. It's just really beautiful if you layer it. Anyway, so now that I will let that set up, I will go back to the little finger and cap that in clear acrylic. I took quite a large bead right from the cuticle area all the way down the nail, but it was a little bit flat, so I've gone in with a second bead by that cuticle area just to make sure that my apex is there at the back third. I will look at it from side to side, and I had a bit of a dip in the middle, so I want to make sure that I've got a nice contoured nail that is even, so it slopes up from the cuticle area then down towards the tip. And so yeah, do look at your nail from all different angles. It's so important. You won't see things if you're just keeping it as a bird's eye view. You do have to look down the barrel, look up, down the sides, you know, every which way, and then you'll see where you need more product, or if you need more product, that is. So again, I've taken a fairly large bead, put it by the cuticle area, brought the front of the bead down, tried to leave some of it in the back third because I am trying to build my strength and structure in this layer, of course. So we do want an apex there. I'll blend that second bead in to the previous acrylic, and then also bring that down to the very tip of the nail and make sure that is also encapsulated. Take a quick look at it from the side, make sure that I've got enough acrylic, and there was not enough. There was a bit of a dip, so just added a bead right where it needed to be. I'm not bringing the entire bead down the nail. I'm trying to leave it where it is needed and just bring the rest of the bead just to blend it into the previous product. Same with the free edge. I just needed that little bit more on the tip, so I'll leave most of the bead where it was placed, but just bring the front and the back down to blend it in. Same again on the index finger. I've gone in with the bead at the cuticle area. It wasn't quite enough, so I've added another bead exactly the same place, and then I've brought the rest of that bead down, but I've left the most of it at the back third because again, we're building our apex. It's really important. These are not really long nails, but they do need a decent apex. It doesn't have to be humongous, but you know, a decent apex to give them the strength, because they are quite long. For a normal person who isn't a nail tech, these are very long nails for your average person. So most nail techs are used to having much longer nails, but your normal layperson who's not a nail tech tends to think that this is very long. and you want to make sure that you're making them strong enough for a client that isn't a nail tech, and therefore they have to be really strong to survive the normal person, as it were, that's not really aware of how to take care of their nails, because clients just don't do what they're told, do they really? Nail techs really don't do what they're told, to be honest, but you know, as long as you make the nails thick enough but not too thick to give them the strength, it should be fine. So on to that reverse French, I am just going to file that around and make sure it is nice and sharp, so that way I get a really clean line around that nail bed area. So it's not too much, but don't push down when you're filing this. Don't push down on the nail, just push against the wall. That's really important, otherwise you will dig into the nail underneath. So after I've removed the dust from that nail, I will use that coral colour to butt up right against the wall of the nail bed colour. And I want to make sure it's right the way up the walls. I have built my nail bed right high enough so that if I get any of the coral colour over the top of it, it doesn't matter, because I've built up my apex ready, so I can file away that coral off the top and reveal a really nice crisp smile line. So I'm not worried about getting any over the nail bed colour at all. So once I've got that right up the wall, I will bring some of it down onto the free edge, and then I will use the lightest orange, which was the one that I used on the little finger, and make a ombre from the tip up towards the nail bed area. So yeah, just work between the colours to just get a nice blend. Keep it very thin still, because it will need capping, and I am also going to be adding some glitter, so it does need to be kept very thin. So just work your ombre as much as you need to with tiny beads, blend to and fro between the colours until you're satisfied with your ombre, and then you can add your glitters when you get it the way you like it. So I'm very close to getting it the way I liked it, and then I'll add the glitters. So as the acrylic is still a little bit wet, I will just use my damp brush to pick up the glitter dots and just add them on to the nail. And where it started to dry, I did need to add just a tiny bit of clear acrylic to hold them in place, because obviously the colour had started to dry, so they weren't sticking as well as they had been when I first started putting the dots on. So tiny teeny beads of a clear acrylic to wash over, and then put some more dots on, and that will hold them in place. See, tiny wash of clear acrylic, and then I can add any more dots where I want them to go. So I'm putting quite a few dots on. I probably put too many on because I always get carried away, but it is what it is. It looked nice in the end. So happy with that. I will just cap that straight away. I wasn't bothered if I'd moved any of the glitters when capping, because they weren't really strategically placed or anything, so it wasn't bothered. So I go straight in with my clear layer, and again looking at that nail from all different angles. I'm making sure I get that clear acrylic right up those wings, because this is rare, really deep smile line, so make sure you get that clear acrylic right up those wings. I'm not adding any of the clear over the top of the extended nail bed, because like I said, I've already built that up to the correct height. It's actually a bit higher than the correct height to allow me enough acrylic to file into to reveal my smile line. So then we will move on to the filing. So I've got some other filing in for my frosty filing freaks. If you are not into the filing, please head to the timestamp in the corner of the screen that you saw at the beginning of the filing, and you can skip ahead if you don't want to watch it. But for my frosty filing freaks, here we go. We're gonna do the cuticle area first. So I'm just using a small tapered barrel bit to go around that cuticle area. Make sure it's nice and flush. There wasn't too much filing to do in that area, because when you're applying your acrylic, you do keep it quite thin right up against the cuticle area, so you know you don't want to bulk out the cuticle area, so there's no need to make it thin. So no need to make it thick. So just go around that cuticle area and blend it in to the natural nail. Make sure it's nice and sealed and flush against the nail plate. Then I will change my e-file bit to a medium, larger barreled carbide bit, and I will just go over the entire nail, basically just refining the shape and somewhat debulking. So I will also do the side walls as well as the free edge, you know, and then straight down the middle of the nail also. But I'm stopping and I'm looking at that nail from all angles. I'm contouring it with my e-file to make sure it's going in the right direction of the shape that I want it to be. I got a bit file happy with this nail, so I'm just showing you. I just added tiny amount of the same coloured acrylic powder right at that cuticle area, and then I'll leave that to set up while I carry on filing. So, you know, sometimes you do get a bit file happy around the cuticle area. It does happen, and if it does, you can just repair it just like that. It's not a problem. So now I'll file into that extended nail bed and reveal that smile line. So as you can see, I'm just looking from all angles, making sure that the nail is not getting too thin, but also it's not too thick. So removing the right amount of acrylic to reveal that smile line, but also to make sure that the shape of the nail is going in the direction it should be going, so that it is similar to the other nails. So now that that other nail has set up the ring finger, I can carry on with my contouring of it, of course, debulking with my e-file. Then I will move on to the index finger. Again, I'm going over the entire nail, just shaping and blending it in and contouring as I go. I do like a perfectly contoured nail. I mean, I say perfect, but you know what I mean. Perfect is very hard. The perfect is objective. It really is. But once I have finished with my e-file, I would then use my hand file to really take in those side walls, make sure that I bring it in, that they're not too bulky, because this nail did have quite a lot going on. It was slightly wider than the other nails, so I just needed to taper in the side walls just a little bit to make sure that the nails were all uniform and looking similar. That's also something you need to pay attention to, not just each individual nail, but as all of the nails together as a whole. And once I'd finished doing that, I will just use my sanding band and just smooth over the nail, make sure there's no lumps and bumps. Literally just contouring with that. It's the same as using your hand file. My hands couldn't take using the hand file at that time, so I used the arbor band, you know, the sanding band, the same way I would use a hand file. I'm literally smoothing and contouring that nail and making sure it is following the lines that it needs to follow. So literally just making sure there are no dips, no lumps, no bumps, no steps, you know, just contour it all the way. Get a nice rounded shape from side wall to side wall, and then you'll be alright. This nail still looked a bit wider, so I'm just tapering it in a little bit more. See, if I compare it to the other nails, it really did still look wider, so I'm bringing those sides in just a little bit more. You always have to stop and look at all of the nails together. If you want a uniform set, that's the only way to do it. You can't just focus on each nail as an individual and not compare it to the next nail that's beside it, and then all the nails as a group. You really do need to pay attention to that. So I'm just tapering in the very, very free edge of that index finger there, and now I'm just going to quickly whiz over with a buffing file. So this is a nice spongy buffer. So smooth over any other bits and bobs that needs to be smoothed out. This will deal with it for me. There we go. Remove the dust. And now it's time to bling it, baby. Oh yes. So I'm going to put quite a few crystals on these nails. Even though they're you know, small nails, I will be putting quite a bit of bling on them. So using my SPD London diamond gel as usual to add those crystals, and I'm making it up as I go along. I didn't really know exactly what I was going to do. I picked out a good few different shapes of crystals, and I'm just going to add them wherever I feel like adding them, and this is how it turned out. Different shapes of AB crystals. They're just beautiful. Look at that, how they catch the light. Aren't they gorgeous? So 2 teardrops and then a few just normal flat blacks. And it kind of looks like a flower in the middle, and I don't know, I just went with the flow with these. Once I've got them in place, I will flash cure them so that they don't move. And then I can move on to the other finger that I'm adding crystals onto. So again, with my SPD London Diamond Gel, I love this stuff. It's great for putting your crystals on. So on this nail, I'm doing a different design. So it's more of a cuticle to free edge type of design, straight down the middle of the nails. So yeah, adding all different shapes. So I've got the kite shape, I've got the normal flat backs, and round ones, and that long oval one in the center. I can't remember what that shape is called, but I think it's Marquise or something like that. Anyway, flash cure those in place, and then I'll put some smaller crystals around where I want them to go. So yeah, I'm just making it up as I go along, having a play and just enjoying using the crystals. I'm loving the bling. I am absolutely loving the bling these days. But yeah, anyway, we are at the end of the video. We'll be topping off and keeping tough in right now, actually. I was going to say in a few minutes, but no, we will be top it off and keep it tough now. Yes. So yeah, at the end of the video, thank you. I really appreciate you taking the time to come and spend some time with me. Watching this video takes your precious time, and I appreciate you, so thank you ever so much. If you have not already subscribed, please go ahead and click that subscribe button. I'd love to have you join the Frosty fam. If you've enjoyed this video or it's helped you in any way, shape or form, do please click that like button. It is important for channels to get their like buttons clicked, so please click mine. I'd really appreciate it. And if you feel like it, you are most welcome to leave me a comment. So that's all I've got for this time, peeps. You take care now, and I'll speak to you all again soon. Bye for now.
Time is up, I don't want to start over. Finally some peace and quiet since you left, so don't bother. This is how I feel now. I never had it so good. Had it so good. I never had it so good. Without your love, I know I would. I feel good. I feel good. I never had it so good. Without your love, I know I would. Waking up early in the morning without you by my side, yeah. Waking up early in the morning, and baby, I feel fine. I don't want to start over. Finally some peace and quiet since you left, so don't bother. This is how I feel now. I never had it so good. Someday soon, I'm gonna make it.